Hey, remember the Dark Knight collection? Remember Nightfall? Remember when I said McFarlane should have made this in darker colors with a black cape only to reveal that exact repaint the weekend I posted the video? Stick around to find out if these repaints are a super addition to your collection or a super-sized misfire. Welcome to 5 Points of Articulation, where I review action figures and then articulate 5 points to help you decide if you want to add that figure to your collection. The 5 points I discuss are packaging, presentation, posability, playability, and price. I'm Jason, and if you enjoy my content, please like, share, subscribe, do all the YouTube rigmarole. Starting with the packaging, and the blister cards are usually one of the highlights of a Superpowers video for me, but this time I'm a bit let down. First of all, the card artwork is exactly the same, just colored differently to reflect each figure. I guess in some ways that's okay, but in the case of Nightwing, the picture on the card isn't even the same version of the character that's in the blister. This is particularly lazy. Not only that, but with these two figures clearly taking inspiration from the Kenner Dark Knight collection and Batman Returns, I kind of feel like they should have done something completely different. It's not the end of the world or anything, but just like the last time, the card art mainly exists to justify the changes made to the figure. Once again, Cape, I'm looking at you. Flipping them around though, they have at least updated the back to reflect all the new figures that are in the wave, and also the vehicles. For packaging, I'm giving this half-hearted effort half a point. There, I fixed it for you. Moving on to presentation, and the figures range from 4 1/4 to 4 3/4, and of course all of them are just repaints of figures that we've already gotten. Tim Drake is just Tim Drake with darker colors and a black cape. Nightwing is the original Nightwing, but in more 90s Nightfall style colors. And Batman is just Dark Detective Batman, but black. Admittedly, there are pros and cons to each one. With Batman in particular, this is a very fun tribute to the Kenner Dark Knight collection version, which itself was just a retooled Superpowers Batman. Superpowers Batman being the base model for McFarlane Toys' Dark Detective, which itself has been repainted to make this black version. Truly an action figure Ouroboros. The difference, of course, being that the Dark Knight collection had some updated tooling to reflect Michael Keaton's design, whereas this one is just a straight repaint. Oddly enough, it kind of reminds me of the promo image of Toy Biz's movie Batman, which itself was just a repainted Superpowers. Truly circles within circles. I don't mind that they didn't do any retooling to this because it was just meant to be a fun little tribute. And considering how expensive the original Batman figure is, honestly, this isn't a half-bad substitution. Where I do mind the lack of new tooling is with Nightwing. First, let me compliment this figure on its color scheme. The metallic blue and gold really pops. In a way, that metallic aesthetic does kind of work against it though. None of the other figures in the line have that metallic look, so if you want him to go with your comic collection, he kind of stands out. But if you want to have a movie version of these three characters, it does look really good together. So good that I'd be open to them doing a Batgirl like this. That said, it also makes me want to have a regular version of Nightwing in more traditional Superpowers colors, and in general, I'm not crazy about having to buy repaints. Place your bets for how long it takes McFarlane to do this one. My biggest complaint is the head. Specifically, that this version of Nightwing should have a ponytail, and, well, he doesn't. There, I fixed it again. If we get a standard color version, and that version has a new head with a ponytail, I guess all will be forgiven, but it really makes me worry about the upcoming DC Multiverse one. And since we're talking about Nightfall, here are all three of them with the Batman and Robin movie version of Bane. Hopefully McFarlane makes his own, but if he doesn't, I'd highly recommend tracking this guy down because he looks great with them. This brings me to Robin, and the one that I'm honestly the most frustrated by. I'm frustrated because this is a lot closer to what I was hoping for the first time. Aside from the logo and the pants, that first version looks a lot more like Dick Grayson than Tim Drake, especially when you look at the inaccurate sculpting of the tunic. Now the greens are darker and he's been given a black mask and a black cape, combined with the gold accents, and this is clearly meant to be a tribute to the original Kenner version of Robin from Batman Returns. Except, of course, that Robin got a more accurate cape. Just for jollies, I decided to put the black cape on the original release, and even that looks 1,000 times better. But I decided to go one step beyond and order this custom one off of eBay, combining the black and the yellow, and this is a Tim Drake cape. Putting it on the new one, it looks even better. A much more authentic tribute to the original. I bought this one from the Cape Master on eBay, and if you're interested, I'll include a link in the description below. Kinda lazy, a fun tug on the nostalgia strings, and in one case, at least a big improvement. For presentation, I'm still giving these 3 repaints 1 whole point. Moving on to posability, and well, this will be brief. For one thing, it's superpowers, and for another thing, we've already looked at all these figures. The heads are on disc swivels that can turn, the shoulders are on disc swivels that can turn, the hips are on disc swivels that can turn, and the knees are on hinges that can bend. Like I always say in a superpowers video, the articulation is limited by design and therefore gets a pass from me, so for posability I'm giving these repaints 1 whole point. Moving on to playability, and this will also be brief as neither Batman nor Robin have any accessories. Once again, however, Nightwing has his Scrimastix. Can we just take a moment to remark on the fact that Superpowers Nightwing has his Scrimastix, but the $25 DC Multiverse figure doesn't? Ah well, that's a conversation for another day, and don't worry, I haven't forgotten. But playability is more than just teasing future videos, because the one you're working on gives you so little to talk about. It's also about how well your figures play with others. First up, and here we have the Hush Batman that kicked off the new Superpowers series, and then here we have the original Superpowers Batman and the McFarlane Toys recreation. For our own personal Dark Knight collection, and here's the Kenner version along with the Toy Biz, and then just to see how well he substitutes, and here's the Superpowers and Dark Knight collection versions of the Joker. That brings us to the movie versions of Catwoman and the Penguin. Since the Kenner version of Robin debuted in the Batman Returns line, here he is with Catwoman and the Penguin, and then here he is with the Kenner version and the one that McFarlane released earlier this year. From one Robin to another though, and here's the Dick Grayson from the original Superpowers, and then here's Dick Grayson all grown up in the form of Nightwing. For the first Nightwing figure ever made, and here's Legends of Batman by Kenner. Even he's got the long hair. And then here's the original release that this is a repaint of. Branching out to the rest of the Super Friends, and here's old and new versions of Superman. Already we've seen what an improvement McFarlane's made, although I do hope that they update this body similar to the Batman Dark Detective. Next, and here's classic and current versions of the Flash. There's a dark red and gold version of the McFarlane one available, which I'm kinda thinking about getting, mainly because it reminds me of John Wesley's ship from the original TV show. Here we have Kenner and McFarlane versions of Green Lantern. Nightwing and John Stewart share most of the same body parts. Hopefully at some point McFarlane will give us a new version of Hal. Next up, and here's Aquaman. I don't really love this whole repaint thing, but I could go for a gold and dark green version of him, or at the very least a 90s hook hand version. Rounding out the league is Wonder Woman. McFarlane did a repaint of her with more classic colors. I'll be honest though, at this point I'm kind of on the fence about whether or not I'm going to review her. For a couple of villains, and here we have Deathstroke and Black Manta. To me, these are a couple of real standouts from the new Superpower series, and if repaints like this is how we afford to get them, I guess I can live with that. For a relative scale comparison, here's our dynamic trio with Pizza Spidey and the Spectacular Spider-Man, and as always, here they are with Stealth Iron Man. With Tim Drake famously using a bow staff, it's a shame that Nightwing is the only one that has any accessories, but credit where it's due, these figures do have the added bonus of mixing and matching with your movie style collection. For playability, I'm giving the Superpowers repaints 1 whole point. This leaves us with nothing left to discuss but the price. Although previous waves were exclusive to Walmart, these new Superpowers figures are widely available at a number of different online retailers and go for $10 a pop. Given that Crime Attack Batman can go for as much as $85, this Nightwing is a version of the character we never had before, and that Tim is an all-around upgrade, honestly, I'm fine with it. For price, I'm giving the Superpowers repaints 1 whole point for a still impressive total of 4.5 out of 5. Which member of the Bat family would you like to see get the Superpowers treatment next? Sound off in the comments below. If you like this video, check out one of these. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be back again real soon, but until then, play nice and have fun.